guys, I'm back with another episode of my interview series. Today, let's welcome Kushal Podder, who is an Indian writer based in Kolkata.
Hi guys, this is the fourth episode of my interview series. For this session, we have one of the finest writers, Kushal Podder, with us. Kushal Podder is one of the brilliant writers based in India. His work has been published in a variety of literary journals and anthologies. He has also edited a magazine, Word Surfacing, and authored 8 volumes. His works have also been translated in 11 languages. Let's welcome Kushal. Thank you so much, Kushal, for joining me today.
Hello, it's a pleasure, and you and I share quite a few spaces together in magazines and designs and all that. And it's been while I'm actually talking to a person, let alone giving an interview. I have been asked to give interview, and I say, okay, I am not going to give any interview. I prefer the veil.
I'm really honored that you agreed to be interviewed. It's a really pleasure for me. So, Kushal, let's start from the beginning. So, what inspired you to towards poetry? At what age did you start writing, and how have you always wanted to become a poet?
I was as a child, this memory is recollected with help of my teen and mother mainly. As a child, I was always reading because my mother would always buy some book whenever I want something, I am howling or don't want to eat or anything. She will just buy a book. And while reading, I began to think, no doubt everyone does, that I can also write. Why not? And as a dear, my writing began at the age of 6, and I was writing rhymes, and I still kind of remember the subject matter of my first rhyme. It was, Bengali sweet called Rasgulla,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was about Rasgulla, and that's all. I don't remember the entire rhyme. And then what happened? By my 10th standard, 16th or 17th year, I have been being published in various languages. Remember that I was writing in my vernacular language, my mother tongue, Bengali, and I mm, I went to a Bengali medium or so-called Bengali medium. That is where the first language is Bengali, the second language is Hindi, not English. And the third language after class 6, we will be introduced to ABC. So I was writing in Bengali, of course, and mm, I was into writing and very much into Tagore and all that. And uh, then suddenly, as a challenge, I began to write in English as a challenge because everyone thought that my English is mm, that's the next to mathematics. That's the worst thing. So I began to write in English, and of course, my writing was something my parents will cherish as a pride, but they never encourage it because it means I am heading towards a disaster, a lifetime of uh, how do I call embracing poverty and uh, mental disturbances probably, and all may be true, but it was destined that I will head towards that fate, and by mm, by the by the time I bought my first computer and obtained the internet, I was writing in script, but I was submitting only the Bengali poems, never the English poems, because there was no scope of that. And when internet came, and I noticed that there were quite a few sites like writers.org or gather.com or some MySpace back then, where people actually post writing. And I began to post all my produce. And those were vehemently, I must stress the word because they were not taken at all, mm, very very well, because my English may be grammatically correct, but a writer, apart from being grammatically correct, must know the sense of the literature, and that I lacked. And I groomed myself with the help of many online friends who became my family, because I am not much of a people person. Back then, I wasn't at all a people person. Then um, it was it was a very good thing that this social media. The other day, Ted Kuzer, the poet laureate, former poet laureate, posted on Facebook. You might have noticed that because of the social media, we are living in an age where it is possible that an author will write something and he won't have to wait a lifetime to get the response of the reader about that piece of writing. So the social media actually helped me in improving myself. And Franz Wright, the Pulitzer winner, helped me out a lot because he took fancy on some of my writing. Okay, and that's how it all began. I can't hear you. Afraid.
Very, very inspiring journey, because being a non-native writer myself, I completely understand what you are coming from and your struggles as a writer. So really commendable. So you have spoken about being challenging yourself to write in English. So when did you begin to start sending to literary journals, and how did you feel when you get your first rejection or acceptance? What was that felt like?
Mm, that is a very hazy area, because I began submitting instantaneously when my writing, I guessed it is at par with some of the other contemporary writers are writing. Okay, that was my own way. So I began to submit, and I submit blindly. That was my process all along, even when I was submitting in my mother tongue. And I will deny it when anyone will ask for my advice. No, you should read the guidelines, you read the magazine back issues, the editor's preferences, and choose your poems. But I didn't do that. But I won't recommend it to anyone. So the rejections were obvious thing. And those rejections didn't do anything, because by then I had a mental state. I had a mental state I went into, and I never came back. That mental state is, once I wrote something, it was no longer mine. I was forgetting even writing about it. I often forget about writing a poem completely, and then suddenly someone will show me this poem is was very good. I say, oh, who wrote it? Are here? Oh, um, okay. So it was like that. So whenever I am submitting something, I was submitting not only blindly, but I was letting a son, a child, a daughter of mine into the world. And I am a forgetful father. Christmas greetings, that's all he or she can get. That means when acceptance would come, I'll say, oh, yes, it is accepted. Tick mark. But when a rejection comes, it wouldn't scratch my surface because I am already writing something else or something more, something I have moved away from that. I won't even recognize sometimes what the exact emotion that that writing was born out of. Uh, it's it's definitely disturbing sometimes, but okay, this is me. So handling rejection was, I'll tell you, this is probably denial, some priority and something, and uh, rejection was natural. So let's not thought about it.
Interesting. I really like the answer because I have seen you and I have read your work and it's really amazing. So I now know the person behind the work and the struggle of the person. So like it's really nice to know that. Okay, so as much as I know about you through your bio as well as through your Facebook account, so I have seen that apart from being a poet, you are a lawyer as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. So how do you
Uh,
juggle? Yeah.
I know it might be a autocorrect. I don't have to correct you at all. I am a
Okay.
lawyer because I studied law. I practiced it for 10 years or so, and then one fine evening, I said, "Okay, no more." And it is like one of these web series when suddenly someone realizes, no, I have to quit and start a startup. No, almost like that, but it was not triggered by any experience or anything. I was not into law. My family made me go into law because you have to eat. And then I said, "Hmm, I could probably do a little less fat. That means eating a less, eating less." So I began to write and I began to take some classes and teach English workshop, holding workshop, writing content, and that's all. But yes, as a lawyer, still I have to do a few work when my neighbor or someone visit my house with something, a deed or some advice.
Oh, okay. So thanks for clearing that up. So now that you have mentioned about your workshop as well as your teaching, and then offering some sort of a pro bono, if I am using the right word, services to
Yeah,
your
pro bono.
yeah,
Hmm.
to your neighbors and everyone. So based on these things, like your workshop experiences and your teaching as well as some sort of your law background, how do you juggle between these very distinct fields, and do you really think that your understanding of these fields as well as law help you see your characters if you're writing a poem or let's say a story in a different light? Does that help you in any way?
That's another good point. Wonderful question, Lisa. The thing is, one have to have in, uh, an interaction with the outer world. My sphere of interaction was that courtrooms and meeting clients and sharing and listening others telling their intimate stories, the noir, the darkness, the hilarious mistakes, and also it opened the belly of corruption to me, and also mm, it it formed my opinion regarding the world at large. So, and you use the word juggling, and I always believed that a writer is a tightrope walker. You see those who walk on the tightrope in a street with monkeys and bears and goat, probably. And he is also juggling because we are juggling with observations, reflections, interpretations, facts, and fantasies, and catching the guilt, admission, all that. So that's it. Juggling is the way we are balancing. We are balancing outer world and inner world, and the result is those pieces we write.
I really liked the metaphor that you have used where it actually defines how poets believe in based on what they write. So it's really accurate on that. So my next question to you is that since you have written books as well as you contribute to different journals, so have you transitioned to making income from poetry, or are there any challenges that you have faced in doing that?
Um, I see. I have wrote the book, and apart from one, non actually one and two. Apart from two, mm, uh, non actually accumulated any income or anything. But some of the some of the magazines actually paid me well, and also I received some grants. But mainly poet, not I am also now writing a novel, and that will be a different thing. But as a poet, my pride was that I never paid for my submission, never paid for any book, publishing any book. There always publishers ask me, and I give them my manuscript. And again, those manuscripts were very blindly accumulated, other than the last one, the postmarked quarantine. That was on entirely on the COVID situation and my daughter's birth and the pregnancy period and our fear and interaction with the outer world. That had a concrete theme. Other than that, I never very consciously collected a book, um, poems for a book. But if
Okay,
you
so
are asking, if you are asking that a poet can sustain himself or herself by writing books, I'll say, mm, other than Rupi Kaur, uh, no one probably can.
I would comment on that was, yeah, but yeah, I agree what you are trying to say. Okay, so as you have spoken about that you have recently become a father, so you I have seen that you have written a couple of poems about your experiences being a father as well. So would you like to talk about how fatherhood has impacted your worldview or your writing in general?
The vulnerability, first word that will come to my mind. I have witnessed vulnerability of a mother, and I became vulnerable the moment I become a father. And that vulnerability uh, came at, in this pandemic situation, the unique situation, and that uh, gave me a perspective of what is important in life, and even everything is ephemeral. Every bit of um, act, reading, collecting my fountain pens to all the things we have accumulated, nothing matters. Now, all I think is how my daughter will survive in the world that she will have, and how I can ease her into that world. No one eased me into this world. Mm, Old-fashioned parenting, I feel, but I can do something. But again, I'm afraid the duality of life is we fathers or parents can never do right. It always happens what is bound to happen. Mm, We can only hope.
Interesting. So, as much as I have read your work and read about your work, so I have seen that there is a high level of precision in your writing. So, how do you manage to achieve such a level of precision in your work?
Reading is the first and foremost thing. Where I read books, and despite not being a student of literature, I studied literary theories and all the literary tools, and also perused the schools and movements involved in literature. And I derived my style uh, subconsciously from all those readings, and probably because of my OCD. I have somewhat obsessive compulsive order of things or disorder of things, so I can have to be precise about anything. So and everything. So you see, writing. mm, uh, I begin again blindly. That is not under my compulsive compulsion. I am writing blindly. Something make me write. Something like the buzz of the ceiling fan, or the next door son is crying, or a sound, a noise, or some distant memory that I should remember, but I can't remember. Then remembering that I shouldn't remember it because that didn't happen, or something like that. I just begin to write, and blindly I am venturing into the woods of my subconscious. Now I'm going Derrida here. All those readings, all the precedents I have incorporated into myself somehow built my subconscious. So when I am venturing into the woods, into the dark, dense forest of my mind, I am actually using the tools I have learned from reading, from observing those courtroom dramas, as I mentioned, from observing the pregnancy of my wife, from observing the first cry of my daughter. Observation, that is a beautiful thing. And that somehow, the moment I forget that observation, it means it is embedded into me. And it somehow fits into that stimuli that began the writing.
That's a very interesting answer. So I've recently had an interview with another poet, and she also said that nature inspires her when she goes for a walk, when she sees stars. So these are one of the things that inspire her, and the observances of that a poet or a writer has have when they translate into their work. So they transcend to another level. So I agree what you are saying. So, how instrumental has poetry been to your life, and how instrumental do you think it is to bring any change, if it is, on the world?
It suddenly occurs to me that poetry shouldn't have any purpose. The purpose, mm, not purpose, but it certainly has a responsibility. every imagination has responsibility. Whatever we imagine somehow gives somehow somehow gives birth to a possibility of a happenstance, an event. The moment I imagine, I must feel mm, responsible, and so I must imagine something that mm, that uh, that shouldn't hurt or harm someone or some community or something. Apart from that, a poetry has no purpose, and that I mean, his existence is solely for his existence sake, and that makes him almost godlike. Mm, Poetry is here because he is here. He's here to stay. He was here. He will be here, and nothing else. And if you want to know if I am recording all the current events, and someone will read those things and interpret how this world of ours was, then probably you are as right as um, say any mythological writer was, because no one thought that whatever they will write will be will be made into a religion and hurt several people. So I don't think I should think about what future generations should do with my writing. No, I'm not recording anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm just writing.
I really like the answer because most people are like, we want people to read our writing, and our work should be timeless, but that's a very different perspective, and I really respect that, and I really like that. So my next question to you is that, firstly, that since you are a non-native writer, so based on that, how do you manage to convey your thoughts in a way that this is exactly how you have felt? So how do you basically manage to translate your thoughts into your words effectively? Because this is very evident in your writing that whatever it actually feels like, whatever you have thought, it's just there on the paper, on the web page. So how do you manage to achieve that?
That is the only solution. You already answered your own question. That is the
Okay.
way I am thinking, because there is a story behind it. Long ago, one of the writers I met online told me that you're writing in your second tongue, but you must change the language of your dream unless you can't justify it. And I certainly did it. One day, I realized I'm dreaming, and everyone from the fishmonger at the local market to my mother back then alive, all are talking in English in my dream. And when I am writing, I told it to a publisher once that when I'm writing, actually, I am not giving my pieces any territory or a terror. I mean, don't want it to belong to the city of Kolkata or city of Karachi or city of New York or California. No, it can be any city. It is mm, just like just like a trim, perfect city. It has the elements of everything I ever have read or witnessed or watched in a movie or listened in a song or everything, everything. So it is not a fantasy land. It is very real, but it is worldly as well. But at the same time, it might be magical in my head.
Okay, so while you make sure that your writing is not confined to any territory or any land, so do you also try to use some of words of your native language or your mother tongue into your work to make it like more relatable for the audiences of there as well?
No, I don't. The English I write is the English I read. I have read. So, no, because I don't have any target reader. I have a, I have only me. I am a personal performer. When I write, I prefer darkness. Mm, I mean, before I told you that in this world of social media, we have the advantage of knowing the response of a reader within a minute or so. Okay. But at the time of writing, I don't think about the reader. I don't prefer to be observed while I'm writing. I'm writing for myself, probably. But I also have myself as the reader. I mean, I want to entertain me. I won't write anything that won't entertain me. I must add to the story when I began to write that also a fact when I began to write, I meant it to be a form of escape, escape from where I am. The way, if I read something, the way you reach hundreds years of solitude, you are into Marquez's land. When you read Sherlock Holmes, you are into that times London. Uh, I am writing to escape my own household. So it is an escape act.
Oh, I see, I see. So, on that note, I would request you to read any of your poems if you can. So that would be an honor.
Certainly, I'll read from this current book because the publisher might complain that I am not doing anything for the book because
Okay,
I already forgot that I have um, uh, a book out there.
okay, sure.
The poem I'll prefer to read is this book, day 21, 22, I mean, day 1 to 72 of a lockdown period. And it is written in order day 72, 71, 70, backward order. Okay. So day 33, and it was written while I was waiting outside the operation theater. Well, my daughter was being born. So I was writing on the mobile. Day 33. What day is it? I should tell you, you enter into this world like an ant down the neck of a jar of jelly bean. The other thousand ants rope walk up spine, down spine of mine. Rain heads this way, and my eyes, foggy, see the signs birds draw against the sky. I should tell you, you have a name already, chosen by your mum and me, and the fear that hospitals shall remain inattentive in a pandemic has driven us far to a care we need beyond our reach. Doors are closing, doors are opening, doors. I listen to the elevation whispering, messy of the word sneeze, and the other dread sternuation, hushed, amen. I should tell you, daughter, moon looks magnified in silence to the thick glass of the clinic door. I wait outside in hazmat suit, the automated voice of the elevator closes and opens. Fine, I can wait. And
Very.
another one I may read if you permit me.
No, 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 no. Please go ahead.
This is date 31. That was the day of my birthday. So,
Kushal, if you don't mind, can
there-
you be a bit louder?
okay, here, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, day 31. That was my birthday, and the difference between my birthday and my daughter's is just a few days. So I wrote day 31. I am quarantined to this birth, and my wife builds a Stonehenge with the pieces of our hearts to summon what the seekers find, albeit a bit late, when fate becomes the subject of every chit chat. Am I isolated to this birth? The silhouette dances on the waves. Only a few occasions it can capture the physical resemblance of a boat. I remember the boat. I cannot do so without shivering at the thought of the fish I caught, the silver sliver gasping, the calmness of quietus. Suffer, we can avoid the friends calling from far and from the home lockdown. So far, we can feel the nearness of something so physical and yet so vague that to define it may erase it from the consciousness. Happy birthday, my wife whispers. Our prayers kneel midst the pillars of her fingers.
Wow, I loved it.
Thank
Uh,
you.
okay, Kushal, so since you are such an accomplished writer with a variety of publications under your belt, so what would you like to say to our up and coming writers as well as those who opt English as a second language?
First and foremost, forget that you are writing in second language. Forget that you have another language, because if you have, it is already there, but you are not replacing it. You are not uprooting yourself. You are just moving with it into a new territory. And secondly, when you are writing, you are not writing to be published or um, to get some likes and loves, but you are writing to entertain yourself. And also remember, this is the best time for writing. Remember that all the writers, all the writers should have a human subject for writing. And this is the best period when a human crisis is there. It is a laboratory for the writing. Just wear your apron and lab coat and start writing. And if you can, submit blindly and don't fear the rejection.
That's a very good advice. So on that note, I would end the interview. So
Thank you, Fiza. It's a wonderful, experience and a pleasure.
So that was it. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you have any questions for the interviewee, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Apart from that, if you know anybody who would like to be interviewed, please let me know. Similarly, if you are a writer or a poet yourself and want to be interviewed on my channel, please feel free to reach out to me as fizza_abbas@outlook.com. Thank you.